Frontier District, you're quoting disaster back in Kenya as you discuss independence in this part of the world. But father's sentiments were never taken seriously. But father's sentiments actually reached fever pitch in 1962 for the second round of the Lancaster House Conference. And that is when NFD made an official position that they wanted to secede. And the position of NFD is, just give me one reason why I should call myself a Kenyan and I remain in Kenya. Otherwise, NFD had made a resolution to secede and join Mogadishu. And in 1962, in the Lancaster House rounds of consultation to bring about independence in this country, NFD was told to go back home and hold a referendum on whether indeed everyone in NFD was willing to leave Kenya and go to Mogadishu. Your Excellency, that referendum was held. And the score was 62% of NFD voted Mogadishu. Why? Because they never felt they were Kenyans. If you want tarmac, you come to Nairobi. If you want electricity, go to Nairobi. If you want services, go to Nairobi. If you want your ID, go to Nairobi. Why should I call myself a Kenyan? And because of these policies, some of these areas remain the way they are. Now, these negotiations, and I'm using NFD as a reference just for us to appreciate the kind of marginalization that ASAL counties have had since independence. When the results for the referendum were never honored, the Republic of Somalia in 1960, after attaining independence, the independent flag of Somalia bore 5 stars, representing 5 regions, and the 4th star in that flag represented the Northern Frontier District. Because they felt that NFD is more closer to Mogadishu than to Nairobi. The question is, has that changed today as we speak? Because of devolution, at least a semblance of development is being witnessed across the country. Now, after independence, NFD thought they're going to be assimilated into this country called Kenya, and they'll be part and parcel of this republic. But whatever happens, I think historians will bear me witness that the steps that the independent government took were not steps to assimilate NFD into Kenya, but to further alienate them away from development. And that's why the NFD came up with the shifter wars. We have read about Bula Karatasi massacre. Why were the Somalis massacred through the Bula Karatasi massacre? The Wagala massacre, the Merna Mali massacre. People who are championing their economic rights, their development, the right to development from their government were to be massacred. That is the sad story about these ASAL counties. In 2010, Your Excellency, we from this particular part of the country, the ASAL countries, we saw a wind of hope, a ray of hope. And that's why we made sure that a clause inserted in the Constitution that will bring about equalization. And the thinking behind it, and Your Excellency, we were there together. The thinking behind that particular clause in the Constitution was the realization that indeed Kenya is not equal in terms of development. There's some parts of this country that have been marginalized for years, and therefore they're yearning for development more than others. And that's why the drafters of the Constitution in 2010 decided then to put a clause to bring about equalization fund that will only be plowed to these counties to bring them to par with the other counties and the rest of this country. Today, Your Excellency, it's a sad day because that concept, that thinking is now being watered down. And it's good, my good friend who just spoke before me raised these issues. Today, we're being told that the equalization fund is in fact going to be taken across the country. And the reason behind it is they're saying, look here, don't look at a county as a county. Look at the villages. We are being told to look at villages today. Because there's a poor village in this county, bring equalization fund. And that was not the original thinking behind the equalization fund. So you can see how the goalpost keeps on changing. And that's why the ASAL counties will never score a goal. Because the goalpost is forever being changed. And Your Excellency, another issue is about where do we even domicile this fund, the equalization fund. According to the Constitution and the enabling legislation, Your Excellency, equalization fund is supposed to fund basic services. But today, equalization fund is funding almost everything under the sun. And secondly, it's actually domiciled at the Treasury. We thought, and I believe that was the thinking when we came up with this Constitution in 2010, that this fund was supposed to be domiciled in the counties that had been identified as recipients of this particular fund. But that is not the case. So today, Your Excellency, I will be taking a borehole in Ganze, which is extremely arid. When I do that, I will see a contractor from Nairobi drilling a borehole 10 meters away from the borehole being drilled by the county government. Why? No consultation. A fund that could otherwise have had such great impact is not giving us any impact because of the way we're managing this particular fund. So as we deliberate